so good?
I think he just where he's supposed to be at in the route concepts, and he makes plays for him. I mean, I remember a couple years ago he made a big, I want to say it might have been a third down conversion against us here at home, and that's when we first found out about him. And it's crazy to see how much his game has grown. But I think that you can say that about their whole receiving corps, man. They tough guys. They are where they're supposed to be at in the route concepts. They make the plays when Josh gives them the opportunity, and then they're good rat guys. So we respect those guys. Obviously, we know Shakir is the leading receiver, and they're going to try to find ways to give him the football. So we have to make sure that we're ready for that.
Zach, he completed passes 10 different guys last week. He's always been, a heck of a quarterback, but do you see a kind of a difference with him, like this year, maybe a different approach, and if so, in what way?
I think, yeah, he's a heck of a player. I just think that he's spreading the ball out more. You really don't know where the ball is going to go. Like, all his receivers are liable to get the ball at any situation at any point in time, including the running backs, including the tight ends. So, that's what makes them a tough offense to defend, besides what he does with his arm and his leg. So I think that, in years past, he obviously had a Pro Bowl, all-pro receiver who you can kind of sometimes in certain situations lock in and key in on. Now these guys, he's spreading the ball around, I think, even more.
Zach, obviously the defense played very well for 3 quarters in Dallas. What did you make of the fourth quarter? Why was it such a stark contrast that you guys played so well and then had such difficulty late?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to execution, man, and we just got to get better. And I think I got to, help those guys out even more, just have a clear understanding of the situation and what we're trying to get accomplished in those situations. It's not a lack of guys wanting to or trying to. We just come up short in that area, and it's something that we're looking at hard, something that we're focusing on, with the communication, with the tackling, with the calls, with me as well. So we all in this together. We grinding to try to make it right. We know we're capable of doing, but we have to do it for 4 quarters, and we haven't done it the last 2 games, and that's where we're at right now, and that's what we're so motivated to get better at, and to show that we can put a complete game together.
In particular, the middle of the field, 15 to 20 yards there, with their consistent hit. What would you describe that specific part to? Is it just...
Yeah, man. Some of it I would say is, good call on the offense versus what we're in as a defense. So sometimes that happens. You make a call and they're in a good play for that coverage or that pressure. And then sometimes we just got to play some techniques better, and we got to coach some techniques better. Obviously we talk about it. The middle of the field is the easiest part for the quarterback to complete a pass. So we want to pack the paint. And we haven't done a good enough job of doing that this year. So it goes in the same deal as finishing games. I think that goes hand in hand. We have to protect the middle of the field, make the quarterback start the ball outside, and take our chances with that.
Zach, are your linebackers getting deep enough to drop in the middle of the field?
I think so. I think it's a combination. Sometimes that's what we're trying to. It's like right now we're lighting the match and it's staying lit. It's getting a spark, but then it's blowing out. So sometimes, the backers we're getting deep enough, and we're too deep in the back end, or we're not getting deep enough, as backers. So, like I said, man, it's a collective effort. It's not just it's not just the linebackers, it's not just the DBs. A lot of times it's the call as well. So we all trying to collaborate and work together to make this thing right.
Zach, is it a challenge to not overcorrect because so many things are going well through 3 quarters, to not dwell too much on that, but also you want to recognize you need to finish games?
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to overcorrect, because most teams they make a little small adjustments here and there throughout the game, and you notice that. We knew the adjustments that they were making. So obviously we could have done some things better. But as soon as you start overreacting, that's what teams kind of want you to do. You start overreacting that, and now you leave yourself vulnerable in another situation, and you give up an explosive. So it's trying to find a happy medium of what's the problem, what's the issue, how they're trying to attack, and how we're going to counter react to it.
Zach, we look at the PFF stuff for certain guys, and I think one of the interesting splits, I guess you want to call it, is Marcus Williams playing more in the box than he ever has. Is that just you guys trying to figure out where he's best, where he's most unpredictable? How would you kind of assess how he's done in all these different spots?
Yeah, I think that the one thing you don't want to do as a defense is where they can just peg, where the offense can peg where guys are at. If they know where a guy's going to be at every single time, now they can scheme you up a whole bunch of different ways. So Marcus is a talented guy. He's been doing a heck of a job for us this year. And, all our guys in the back end can play in the box. They can play deep. So we let those guys do that.
You played a lot of dime against the Cowboys. Was that more a reaction to what you anticipated from them? Was it more you wanted to get a guy like Ardarius on the field? He obviously played well. I mean, what was the kind of the impetus for that?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. We had a dime package ready because the Cowboys they've shown a lot of 4 wides on film. They spread the ball out and throw the ball, and it's a combination of what they do and what we want to do on defense, and getting different guys out there on the field like Eddie Jackson. These guys are real good football players, so it'll be kind of criminal to keep those guys on the sideline the whole time. But it was a mixture of both.
It seemed like on the second, the last touchdown, I think Roquan was maybe expecting Marlon to trail the guy over the middle, and he was wide open. Do you think communication is an issue, or do you think the couple times where the communication wasn't perfect that the good quarterbacks capitalized?
Nah, I don't think communication. It's something we striving for all the time. That's like one of our main things we talk about: great communication, because that's half the battle. Make sure everybody on the same page, and if you're not on the same page, you're not gonna really have a chance. But obviously, when you have a misstep, shoot, any quarterback in the league, specifically, the real good ones, they're gonna capitalize on that. On that play right there, I'll take that one. I wouldn't put that on Roe or Marlon.
Zach, defenses have been trying to disguise more and more, especially over the last few seasons. Do you think that there's a challenge of having too much of a disguise, or trying to give off a facade of different defenses to it? Can it be punishing for you or a negative?
Yeah, sometimes if you're doing way too much of it, we always talk about never let your disguise, take you away from your responsibility. So I think we do a heck of a job here, marrying our looks up so offenses don't know exactly what we're in. The challenge of that is these offenses and these quarterbacks, if they know what you're in, they're just gonna check the play and check to the beater of it. So you can't just give them the answer all the time pre-snap. But there is some merit to getting where you got to get to and just playing ball and just out executing the person across from you.
James Cook has really elevated their run game. Before it used to be the run game was Josh Allen and then they would throw. But how has that dynamic affected your game planning for them?
Yeah, it's a lot more runs with the running backs. I think James Cook has elevated himself to one of the top backs in the league. He's an explosive player. We knew about him a couple years ago coming out of Georgia. I think he's just matured in his play with experience. His confidence is through the roof, and the talent has always been there. So he's definitely put it all together, and he's somebody that we're going to have to make sure that we have a handle on, not only in the run game but in the pass game as well. Because I've seen a lot of explosive plays with him coming out of the backfield, running 40 yards down the field, tracking the ball, which is very impressive. So we got a lot of respect for what he's done so far this year. So it's something that we're going to have to be ready for.
Zach, the Bills' offense is one of the best in the NFL in the red zone. Just how challenging it is to account for, because as you mentioned, Josh Allen's spreading it out everywhere. And then he's also somebody you have to account for in the red zone.
Yeah.
He loves to launch himself in there.
Yeah.
What are the challenges of trying to solve that puzzle?
It's real challenging because whenever you got a quarterback who can throw the ball like he can, but also they have designed QB runs, that's an extra hat. So you have to account for that. Most times, if you just call it regular defense, you don't have extra hat for the quarterback on design runs. And we're not just talking about regular zone read runs. We're talking about like QB counter, QB power, like real deal, downhill runs. So that's what makes it challenging. So as soon as you put everybody in there stop to run, well, he's still a quarterback. He can still throw the ball. So I think it comes down to us executing, us understanding, where we got to be at and what plays they're trying to do in these certain situations to make sure that we have everybody accounted for as well as him accounted for in the run game. So they definitely stretch you as a defense, but I think we got guys that are up for the challenge and that can
What did you see as far as the obviously ran the ball really well against Dallas? What did you see in the execution from the offensive line this week than maybe the previous couple weeks?
Well, I thought we were just cleaner. Overall, as an offense, we were cleaner. not perfect by any means, but we were cleaner. And I thought we raised the floor on our perimeter blocking. I thought that made a big difference. You know, in terms of guys on the perimeter, didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter if it was QB driven or if it was Derek, you know, breaking through the line of scrimmage and Nelson downfield. I just thought we took a real step in terms of, you know, where our guys were and where they got to this past week.
Todd, the buy-in from those guys, from the receivers and tight ends to block the way that they do, especially in a game where they're not getting, you know, they're gonna throw the ball 15 times. And how, so you must take a lot of pride in that, knowing that everyone's gonna buy in and say, it's fine, today's maybe I'm not gonna catch a bunch of balls, but I'm still gonna do what we need to do.
No, that's, been coaching skill guys my whole life. That's a hard deal. That's a hard sell when, you know, a lot of their pride and what they get paid to do is showcase their skill set. I don't care what position you play. You want to touch the football. But it said a lot about those guys that in that moment, however long the game is for 3 hours, that it's about team. It's about what I can do right now to help the Ravens win. And that's been a staple of this organization for years. Then we can figure out afterwards, hey, how can we get other guys involved? But at that moment, that's what I control as an individual player, what's called to execute at the highest level. And that, again, it says a lot about those guys.
Todd, do you think that this offense challenges Bill's defense in ways that the 3 previous teams that they competed against weren't? The other teams tend to throw the ball outside the numbers more. They have higher depth per target in air yards. This is an offense that is different in those regards.
Well, again, our sample size is 3 games, and their sample size is 1 game each. So I'm not saying that who we are now and who they are then. Each game presents different challenges of how we're going to attack them. There's certain aspects of Arizona that you take from. There's certain aspects of Miami, you know, that you like, and there's certain things that, you know, of what went on last week and then last year. So there's a number of things we'll take from that, but we certainly have to continue to build on what we've done so far and continue to play clean football. That's what's when you turn on the tape, you want it to look like you want it to look like, and that's an easy statement. But when you're going against the best in the world, a little harder than it seems. But for our guys, we've had a great week of practice last week, and we've already started off this week with 2 great days. So I look forward to playing Sunday night.
Todd, along those lines of opponents and such, why did Mark Andrews play, you know, fewer snaps last week?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even know he did. I mean, I don't, you know, game plan wise, some of that comes into play. We were a little bit more U personnel, I guess 22 personnel. And when Charlie's in and Pat's in, that's only one of the other tight ends. So that's going to shrink that. In the other games, we're in a lot of 2-minute. We're in a lot of no huddle. There's a lot more throws, which is going to, you know, and we didn't have as many snaps. I mean, all that's part of it. You know, we think a lot of Mark. We anticipate Mark having opportunities. It just didn't, like all of our guys. They didn't get the opportunities they were hoping for, other than maybe Charlie.
And John has talked about penalties and obviously the need to cut them out. Chris, as a coach, for example, you guys have had 7 or 8 offensive holding calls. Some of those are probably going to be questionable. But as a coach, what do you do to try to eliminate those things, whether they're questionable or not? How do you try to cut those things out?
Well, first thing you do is obviously they're not intentional, but you show them the tape, show them what they're calling, where their hands, where their body placement is, because that's a part of it. Did we get out of position, right? Was it a call that put them out of position? You know, all those things are part of it, you know. And then just making sure that those things, like anything that we do technique-wise or schematically, is you try to get it corrected. That's where you show them the film. What is it? Body position, hand placement, what is it schematically, and how can we get it fixed? Because playing clean football, eliminating the penalties, will allow us to not waste yards, if that makes sense. I mean, we've got a lot of yards. Okay, now how do we turn that into functional, directed yards and turn them into points? Because that's really what it's about. You know, it's about scoring points.
Hard talked after the game Sunday, and even when we spoke to him yesterday about just continuing to score points, even when you guys have the lead that you had on Sunday. When you're calling the game, especially this past Sunday, late in that game, Do you feel like you're calling it to kind of just keep the clock going? Or do you feel like you were aggressive with the play calls in the back end of the game?
The only one that I would say wasn't nearly as aggressive as I wanted would have been the third down call before the field goal attempt. That one there was really okay if we get it. If not, it gets us to a 4-score game. Really, is what we were thinking. Sure, there's out of 60 calls, there's a number of calls I always wish, like, okay, would have done that different. Would have done that different. That's just human. That's never going to change. It's not the first or the last time. The next drive that we got it, we just didn't convert on third down. The next drive that we got it, on third down, we did throw it. And then, to me, the other thing is trusting the players. Because like I told the guys, like the last play of the game that sealed it, to me, that's not conservative in that call. Because you're going to trust your players for ball handling and security. Because you're not just handing the ball off, you're reading it, you're putting it in, and you got to trust the players because you can't put the ball on the ground, right? So to me, those are plays that do take that. And sure, I don't disagree with Lamar. We want to keep the pedal down because you don't want to leave even the door open. So I'm not disagreeing there. And there are certain calls I wish we could have been a little bit more aggressive.
How much, as you touched upon it, Lamar's ball handling, how much do you think that is an advantage because other teams don't see it that often?
Well, I think it's an advantage, and he embraces that. He does a great job with it. We had last year, early in the season, we weren't as clean. I remember Detroit, we were up 28-0 going in to make it 35. We had an exchange issue. Haven't forgotten that one. Even at that moment. So you got to trust the guys, and Lamar's a big part of that. Our backs are a big part of that. Zay is a big part of that, little Zay, because he's a part of that. So those guys embracing ball security, and that's a big weapon. For us to be able to utilize, and Lamar embraces that.
The ability of your tight ends to block out on the perimeter, we saw a number of those kind of blocks in Dallas. How big a difference has that made for what you're able to call as a coordinator?
Well, it makes a huge difference. It shrinks the number of plays you have to call. I mean, the reality is space down here creates space at the line of scrimmage. I mean, all you have to do is look at the very first drive. The very first drive, Nelson Aguilar gets pressed, he runs the corner off 25 yards, he's off the screen. That's selfless, and that's a credit to him. You can only say it so much, but that shows it. And then we got on the perimeter, and Zay made a block, and then the touchdown was Mark and Zay. So all of that is a big part of it. Derek's run to start the second half, Nelson gets a block downfield, because you don't ever know. I mean, you don't want to waste opportunities to have to call more plays, right? It happened to them. Right? I mean, you never know. I mean, you never know. You might end up kicking a field goal, might get a turnover. So all of that plays into team football in terms of gaining the optimal amount of yards that they're willing to give you. And when you don't do that, you're not getting the optimal amount of yards that you're looking for. And again, that's a credit to those guys. And it made a huge difference. Not a big difference, a huge difference.
I think just one downfield completion for Lamar so far this season. Do you feel like defenses are defending you guys any differently because you haven't shown yet that big playability, or is it still the same kind of thing from week to week?
Well, I don't. Sometimes it's situationally, sometimes it's defense, sometimes it's we didn't complete it. All the above. Are we looking to throw the ball down the field like every team? Yes, of course so. But efficiency's big too. And again, the first two games we had 33 snaps of 2 minutes. You're not really going to be, that's not going to come up. Even though it did debate, we did have a play at Kansas City that way, but we're certainly looking to do that and push it down the field, and when the opportunity arises, we'll do that.
What have you seen out of the Buffalo front seven? Because it seems like they're a team that they play those two safeties back and kind of trust those guys up front.
They do a great job mixing up the front with it, and subtle little things that make it difficult. You think you're going to get, I don't want to say it, like a big run, and it just like a vacuum kind of sucks it in. All of a sudden it's a 4-yard gain, it's a 5-yard gain. You thought, wow, they do a good job of triggering their nickel. They do a good job of triggering their safeties. They do a good job with their run fits. So it feels like, oh, wow, Nelson, you look at it, it's 2nd and 5, and it wasn't 2nd and 2. I think they do a great job playing off each other. They've been doing that ever since Coach has been there. I mean, I was in Cleveland in 2019, and they did that. We played them then. So they do a great job. They do a great job playing off each other. They play hard. They're hard to attack.
Week. I think the one thing I am pretty pleased about is like when you turn on the tape and we watch our guys play. Our guys are playing physical. Our guys are playing hard, and we are having some success out on the field. I think the thing that we're continuing to strive for, and the thing that we are continuing to chase, is really like perfect execution. Because when the execution is not right in our phase of the game, you know, it somewhat is noticeable, right? So our thing, man, when we come out here like every day, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, and then when we get to Sunday, man, we want to go out there and really play our best football, and that starts with our physicality and our effort, giving us an opportunity to have a successful play, and then maximizing our execution when we're out on the field. Questions?
Chris, on the one-side kick with Zay, is it just a matter of him just catching the ball, or is there something else? I mean, when you talk about execution, that could have helped there.
You know, I think when you look at that play, we did a great job of getting ourselves getting lined up, understanding the type of kick that we were going to see, and then it's really just you know, I explained with Zay and I talked to him about this. You know, maybe a little bit more width, understanding how that ball is going to come in. A little bit more width, you would have probably put yourself in front of the ball. Other than that, that's it. I mean, we got to get ourselves out there, and then we just got to fill that ball. It wasn't anything that they did where I thought affected us on the play. It's just you know, we got to fill that ball.
Chris, what did you think of Jordan's performance in this game after a week prior with the Raiders and the struggle support?
You know, I thought it was a lot better. Obviously, ball location is something that we preach on a lot of. You know, where the ball is and things like that. But for us to go out there and limit Kavante Turpin to 0 yards return, that is a great day for our punt coverage unit, because we know how dangerous of a returner he is. And again, it starts with us, one, protecting the punt, because Dallas has been a great rush team, us protecting the punt, and then everybody just selling out on the coverage and not allowing them to get any return yards. So from that standpoint, I thought Jordan did a great job. Even the ball that got hit in the middle of the field, you know, he puts enough hang time on it. It's a 5-1-3 ball that gives our gunners an opportunity to get down the field, and it allows the net to get down there in coverage and force fair catch. So all in all, you know, I think he's getting better, but we still chasing, again, perfect execution every time we out there, and proper ball placement.
Justin made clear with us that the missed kicks, they are solely on him, that he's just missing them. And they're all the way, everything else is executing exactly as you would hope. Is that, do you concur with that?
I 100% do. You know, and no one knows better than Justin, right? So what Justin says and what Justin believes, that's probably 100% accurate. And it's our job to just keep encouraging him. Again, we trust him. We believe in him. All right, because we know he's going to get this thing figured out, and then the ball will be going right where we want it to go. So we'll just keep sending him out there, and that thing, it'll get itself fixed.
When you have a guy like Tucker who's been so good throughout his career and he's having the struggles he's having now, do you know when to jump in and say something, or know when to jump in and coach, or do you just trust that he'll figure it out on his own?
I think it's not that he's got to so much figure it out on his own, because he has Randy and he has Sam here with him, right? So when there is something that they might see, he has another set of eyes on the kicks and things like that. So they kind of give him advice to kind of, you know, on some things that they're seeing. But ultimately, because he has been so successful and people aren't accustomed to this, like we think that these things shouldn't happen, right? But he is human, and these things do happen. So just like he said, he's got to find himself, he's got to get himself back in his rhythm, and we all believe and have faith and know that will get done.
About doing our job, you know, whatever's asked of us, to help each other out, not be greedy, and yeah, you know, we're all competitive, get the ball, but as long as we're winning game, executing. I thought Travis Kelce's quote about execution was really good.
How often they line up a nickel dime? I mean, this is a team that might almost dare you guys to run as often as you did against Dallas. I mean, you kind of look at it that way. They're daring you to do one thing, you got to execute.
That's a different challenge, just a different beast. You know, they're a really good team. They've won a lot of games in years past, and we're going to have our hands full. It's going to be a good game, good tough game. We respect them a lot. We're excited to go play against them and you know, fight this one out.
Year one or year two, is it harder then than now to say, fine, we're not going to throw the ball much. I'm just going to block my butt off. And that's sort of, now that you're established and you got, is it easier now to handle that kind of game plan?
You know, I think that you're just growing. You kind of, you know, obviously been year 7 and especially year 2 in this offense. I understand what to expect and what we have going forward, and even more so this year with all the guys that we have. So again, just about execution, doing our job, playing hard. You know, my time will come. I believe that. I feel really good, feel healthy, and yeah, good things will come.
Mark, you're a guy obviously who wants to be out there all the time. Is there a balance you have to find to that, to your point, like when you play fewer snaps and you know, still trying to be you want to be out there obviously. So is there a balance to that, I guess?
I think, you know, you look at the first game, you know, I was out there, 70-something snaps or whatever it was, but got a lot of attention. But, you know, last game we had a game plan, and obviously, Pat, Charlie, Isaiah, being in bigger packages. I wasn't in on that, and they did a great job of blocking things up, doing their job. You know, I think each game will be different. I think everything will be different. I think that we trust in our coaches to scheme things up, and that's all we can do.
Is that a testament to the talent in the tight ends group? Because when you're covered well, there's other guys that can pick up that slack.
Yeah, we got a great group. You know, I don't think there's really a group else in the league that have this type of talent. You know, you look at Isaiah and Charlie; those guys are both going to have long, great careers. And I think not Isaiah gets a ton of credit, rightfully so. But Charlie's a really, really good player, and he's continued to get really good. And Pat, obviously is a bruiser, and no one wants to see him on the opposite side of the ball. So we're all doing our thing, we're all doing our job, and there's no greed, and we're just helping each other out and rooting for one's success.
I know you're probably not interested in PFF grades, but there was a stat that said you were getting like the best separation of any tight end in the NFL. You said you feel healthy. Do you feel like that's reflected in just what you're doing out there as a route runner in practice, in games, all that good stuff?
Yeah, I think I'm working. Everything. That's a tough thing to really comment on, but I feel good. I feel like I'm running fast. The same old Mark, doing the same old thing. So, my time will come. But again, I'm just worried about execution, helping this team win, and in whatever way I can do that, I will. Thanks, Mark.
Try to keep my head right here.
Obviously, we got in a car accident a couple weeks ago. Can you just walk us through what happened?
Yeah, I was driving and 18 would have flipped me out the road and the car flipped.
How scary was that situation?
That was scary, and I was always scared to get in the car.
Where did it happen? Was it 695?
I really don't remember. It's right. I was close to my apartment, like 2 minutes away from my apartment.
Be able to get back from that on the field as quickly as you were. I mean, it's got to be satisfying. Easier to put that behind you than right once you get back on the field.
Yeah, once I knew I could get back on the field, I knew I was 100%. That was everybody was happy with that. I was happy about it.
Last week, a lot of attention. You forced the fumble, the big play, make a few plays on you. What are the big takeaways from last week?
I just gotta keep working. That was my first professional game, just playing plays. So I just gotta keep working. I think it's a learning experience. So I just get better from nothing.
Every week's a challenge. What are you seeing from Josh Allen and getting him the way he's been playing, especially this season?
Yeah, he's a great quarterback. A great quarterback. He loves to run. He like beat, so he got to cover. He got to pursue him. He like to get out the pocket and he loves to run, so he's got to pursue him.
Not a lot of wide receivers to learn from better than CeeDee Lamb. What was going through your head when you lined up opposite of him?
It's just my mindset is going to the game. I just got to shut the receiver down, no matter who it is. Stay out the guard, everybody in the league. Don't think about contact. That's what I take. I'm confident and that's what I go into the game at.
You're obviously known for your speed. You can keep up with anybody. In press coverage, they were kind of getting those slants. Was it kind of a lesson with you that, hey, I'm really fast, I can run with them, but I got to be physical at the line?
Yeah, that's my lesson.
You're a few weeks obviously into your career. What are you most pleased with so far in terms of your progression?
Like I see the fruits of the effort, because you don't know when they're going to come, right? So how great was it for you to feel that, all right, we're seeing the progress we need to see?
Yeah, it was really good for me to build that confidence and experience, and knowing that I have the ability to perform like that, and just continue to work on it and stack it.
When you look at the challenges this week, Buffalo's front seven is really impressive, and they're going to sit back in 2 deep, and so you can, kind of how to handle that. How do you feel about it?
For me, I'm just going to trust my technique, trust my coaching, and trust each other and get the job done. Yeah.
What do you see in Ed Oliver, their defensive lineman?
He's really explosive, really good player.
You heard the noise and you locked Parsons down, baby.
And yeah, he's a really good player, going to be a good challenge. And for me, it's trust my technique, trust what I'm being coached, and get the job done.
Does this week feel differently for you mentally than last week did?
Definitely just want to keep getting better and just have a lot more confidence in myself and just keep going, keep stacking.
You're facing an elite quarterback here, and this is no different. What do you see out of Josh Allen and just kind of that offense rolling in here for Sunday night?
Yeah, man, they good offense, obviously. Good quarterback as well. But it's honestly, it's not about them; it's about us. How we go out there and execute.
What's the biggest thing with Josh? Kind of like Lamar. I mean, the play is never really over.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing about defending a guy who can get outside the pocket and still have that ability to throw downfield?
Yeah, I mean, he's got the arm strength, knows how to extend plays. When plays break down, and they've done a good job with that. Creating big plays. When things break down.
I know a lot of people were talking about the fourth quarter, but for 3 quarters, you forced Dak into a lot of really difficult throws, had really tight coverage on them. Even though, I'm sure you didn't feel great coming out of the game how it finished, did you feel like it was a step forward for the secondary in Dallas?
Yeah, kind of. We were strong there, 3 quarters, and the fourth quarter, we almost let it get away from us. But we just got to continue to play our style of ball, all the way, through fourth quarter.
Right, I know every game is different, but when you look at the ones you have played and the way the offense is attacking the middle of the field with kind of that short success in between the numbers, how can you defend that or shore that up a little bit that offenses can't make those plays in the middle?
Just playing our style of ball. I'm not quite sure what plays you're talking about, but to simply answer, we just got to play our style of ball and eliminate explosive plays and eliminating short throws, turning explosive plays.
When you watch the Bills and see what they've been doing, Josh Allen, no interceptions, just kind of what stands out? Is it something that they're doing that allows them to have that type of success?
Yeah, like I said, they know how to extend plays, and when plays break down, late in the play, they do a good job of getting open, getting into his vision, and making that throw downfield.
Brandon, Dak has been a big part of their offense. Has open field tackling been an emphasis at all this week?
No, I mean we know what we have to do. We know that we got a stable tackle. We got to make tight covers on their receivers, and just make it hard for the receivers and the quarterback.
The first few games, you knew they were going to go to Devontae Adams. You knew they were going to throw to CeeDee Lamb. The Bills only have one guy over 100 receiving yards so far. With so many weapons, the way they spread the ball around, is that a harder, just different challenge? What does it feel different from the earlier games?
No, not really. We try not to focus on players. We try to focus on ourselves, man. And that's what I'm trying to do. It doesn't matter what I'm going against. I'm trying to make it as tight as possible. Complete the pass. And so that's my goal. That's our goal, and that's how we coach every week.
Last one here. Brandon, the opening of Ravens Wired episode this week was you as a kid walking up to the Cowboys Stadium saying you were going to come back and play there one day. When you see that, what goes through your mind when you just reflect on how far you've come?
Yeah, it's crazy. It was actually my dad that said that in that video. I think I was about 8 years old. And as a kid, when he's saying that, you just yeah, whatever, you know what I mean? But it's crazy because he's been holding on to that video for that long, however many years it's been. I think 18 years, and he sent it to me a couple days before the game. That was my first time like seeing it ever, and so it gave me goosebumps to finally be to be able to play in my hometown against the Cowboys. So it was definitely surreal for me.
Was your dad there?
Yeah, absolutely.